Hey everyone, I just wanted to give an extra content warning this episode. There are discussions of rape, suicide, and infant death this episode, so if you need to protect yourself from that kind of discussion, by all means do so. We just want to keep our listeners safe. Thank you and enjoy the episode.
Content warning. On this podcast, we discuss sensitive issues, including but not limited to swearing, tasteless jokes, situations of a sexual nature, and drug use. This podcast is not intended for children.
Welcome to Bibliowrecks, where we read the world's worst books. I'm BamBam.
And I'm Bugs.
And boy, I have a book.
You said you needed to get this out of your brain pronto.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
It sounded like it was problematic as well.
Yeah, there's also that. So let me ask you, how do you like Westerns?
I've read them. Not a huge fan. It's just kind of not my thing.
Yeah. How do you feel about Confederate apologetics and just general dislike of the judicial system?
I would have liked that as a kid. Now I would see it as a problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, got bad news.
Oh, no.
Today we're reading Beyond Repentance by Max L. Jolly.
Where did you find this book?
I found this book in a bookstore in Charlotte.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember what the name was.
The look of it just looked bad enough to grab you.
Well, I was looking in local authors. So this is an author that's from North Carolina, Charlotte,
okay.
North Carolina, or at least close. I actually looked up the author. His name is Max L. Jolly. He's from Mount Holly, North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
So Max Jolly from Mount Holly.
I hope his naming characters isn't as bad as Louis L'Amour.
Oh, buddy. Oh, buddy. It's so much worse, actually.
Oh, no!
So I'll start off with this author hates due process.
Hates the police or just the law?
Hates that police have limitations.
Wait. You said hates the judicial process. Means that he thinks cops should just have free reign?
Yeah.
Not hates cops.
Yeah.
Oh, not the direction I was expecting.
Yep.
Huh. Okay.
He thinks that cops should be able to, or at least this one cop, as long as the cop is a good person, quote unquote.
Oh, no. Jeez.
So we start off with it doesn't say anything, it just starts. Like, it doesn't say prologue, it doesn't say...
Chapter 1.
Yeah, but it describes the main character, Laredo. He comes to this town called Spencer Crossing, California, shoots two guys dead that were causing a ruckus in a saloon, and just shoots them dead.
That's the beginning of the story.
Yes.
So we are just launching straight in. Do we know what year this is?
We don't. I looked so hard. I don't know
no.
when this is.
But
it is somewhere in between 2005 and 1873. That's as much as I can narrow it down. Because the only reference to a date in this book is a gun. And the latest model gun that's brought up is an 1873 pistol.
Huh.
So... yeah, somewhere in between there and there.
But if he didn't do the research on that, he might not have even intended for that to be your
It's hard to say.
Wow.
And also, before we actually get into it, I think this author just made these things up whole cloth.
Okay.
Because Spencer Crossing, California wasn't an actual community prior to the 1900s.
Okay.
From our little bit of research, it was a planned community, like a suburb.
Not a Wild West.
No.
Like mining town or something.
Right, and that's the way it kind of, as much as it presents it poorly as like a mining town that's been established for some amount of time. So yeah, that's totally made up, because a lot of Westerns, a lot of stuff will be made up, or...
And it'll be vaguely like Western town, USA, Western territories.
Yeah.
You know,
So this guy looked up enough research to find a town in the area he was shooting for, I guess, but not enough to actually find out the history of the town or anything like that. Because on the back of the book, it says that Max enjoys writing numerous newspaper and magazine articles and enjoys the rich history of the West and did not do any research into the actual history of the West. So anyway,
but we're intended to see this as kind of like a John Wayne Western. We come in shooting them and
oh yeah,
doing a ruckus.
This guy could not possibly be any more John Wayne, and
Right.
it really pisses me off. I hate John Wayne.
Gotcha.
He comes in, he kills 2 bad guys almost randomly.
Who are bad because they're fighting.
Right. Well, they're bad because they're fighting, but also they're bad because they're not white.
This early in the book.
Well, it doesn't present that, but that's the way it feels to me after reading the entire book.
Oh, okay. So it's not, I see these brown ruffians and I shoot them up.
Yeah.
It's not quite
Yeah.
that explicit.
Well, later it is.
So he eases that part into it.
Yeah. So it starts with that, and fast forward, we get to the actual chapter 1. It starts with Laredo. He's now the marshal of the town.
After coming in and just shooting people.
3 years later, he's the marshal of the town.
Lovely.
Yeah, he's just going around looking at the town. You get like 3 different kinds of building named, so that's a town, right? And
alright.
he goes by the local saloon where he shot those 2 guys. He's really judgy about prostitutes.
Ew.
Yeah, this quote. Yeah, he's describing this like the general smell of the saloon and the women that are, I guess they're just tired after their shift. I don't know. Which plus the makeup and perfume of the female staff not only masked age and time, but also covered both the senses of sight and smell, and also the reasoning of the male clientele, regardless of the fact that Jake the bartender cut the whiskey to just the edge of being only scented water. That's a fucking sentence.
So he hates prostitutes. He hates this bartender for cutting the whiskey. Why does he go into the saloon if he just hates it?
He's just walking by right now.
Oh, he's walking by and just judging. Fucking prostitutes with their perfume. How dare.
Like, I don't know what he's got against prostitutes, but...
Are we supposed to think of him as he like this moral?
Oh yeah, he's the
upright
moral,
person?
upstanding...
Yeah, so he must of course judge and hate. Yeah.
So he goes to... It's sort of like a little diner ran by an old woman named Ma Spencer. So she runs this little diner, and she's got the same thing for breakfast every morning. It's ham, side meat, and eggs. Any idea what side meat is?
Is it like what the bacon gets cut from?
Yeah, it's
like
bacon.
Chunks of bacon?
Yeah, it's bacon.
Okay.
So he's having ham, and eggs.
Spam, ham and spam. Meat and eggs, because he's a red-blooded American something.
Yeah, of course. So he's sitting there eating and he says he eats here all 3 meals every day for the last 3 years. He's eaten here
Good
at Ma
Lord,
Spencer's.
his arteries must be crying. I'll bet she doesn't serve a single vegetable except maybe green beans with fat back in them.
Well, I mean, despite the fact that he eats here 3 times a day, we never come back here.
What?
Yeah.
The entire story goes in the last 3 hours?
This little old lady that's pretty much just in this first part of the book is the only woman in the story with any agency at all.
All right.
And the only agency she has is to make the coffee too hot and burn her customers' lips. If it's like a man she doesn't like or something. That's the only agency a woman has in the story.
Interesting. Is she old?
Yeah. So yeah, your old matronly mother figure, I guess. So he's sitting there enjoying his breakfast. a fella named Al Washing comes in. Al is like super afraid, super worried right now. He's worried about a local gang he used to have like some dealings with. He used to be a banker, and the gang, which the two guys that Laredo killed were a part of, was ran by a guy named Chico Juarez.
He must be very white. With that kind of name.
Yeah. Which
he must be a very good person.
I'm pretty sure that Chico, like, that's not even like a real name. That's like just kind of the Spanish word for just a boy child.
Right.
Like, hey, little boy.
Like, maybe that's a nickname?
I guess that's the only name he ever gets.
Maybe, okay.
It is appropriately Spanish sounding, though.
It could be his gang nickname or something.
Maybe.
We just don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. I mean, no one else ever gets named except for one other person in the gang. So Al is terribly worried about Chico Juarez, who went to prison after Laredo sent him to jail 3 years before. But he's getting out now, despite being a murderer and a thief and all that good stuff.
He didn't get hung?
No.
In the Wild West?
Nope.
As a gang leader?
Well, it's California.
Yeah,
and what's in California?
I don't know.
Democrats!
Not in the 1800s! What?
Okay, so next chapter, I'm going to go ahead and bring it up, but next chapter is basically a tirade against basically like prison politics.
Okay.
Because
this is unlike any Western I've ever read.
It's weird. The warden, who only comes up in one chapter, his name is James Bailey. He's the warden of San Quentin Prison. He's not a real person. I had to look it up. He has this super evil plan to reform prisoners.
Isn't that the point of prison?
One would think.
Reform prisoners? They learned their lesson and you let them go?
Yep, you'd think. But no. James Bailey's plan is to reform a few prisoners in his prison so that he can get elected in the governor's race. That's his evil plot.
What?
So he makes it like a big publicity thing. Chico and two other Mexican gang members that the story refers to as the Flies.
I see what's going on. Okay.
Yeah.
So Laredo is pissed because this person he put behind bars. The warden of the prison is saying, this guy is reformed. Look what a good job I did, so that he can go and become the governor.
Yes.
He's using it as political clout.
Yeah.
And this cop guy is just pissed off because he thinks Laredo,
yeah, he's
that other
just
guy should rot there forever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, gotcha. The down-to-earth town sheriff or whatever that sees through all the politic BS or something, I think is what he's going for.
Interesting. All right. Well, at least I have a better idea of what's going on. All right.
So Al Washington is terrified of Chico getting out because he gave testimony that put Chico behind bars. So he's terrified that Chico is going to come back to Spencer Crossing and take his revenge on him.
Reasonable. Mm-hmm. Reasonable fear.
So their whole gambit was Chico would go and steal money. Al Washington would launder it for him and then give it back to him with, I guess, whatever percentage he was getting cut. It never goes into it. Mm-hmm. But since he's become basically destitute and no one in town likes him anymore.
Because he doesn't have money and he's known to associate with criminals.
Yep. Yeah, now he's at this diner. He's heard that Chico is getting out, and he's terrified and telling Laredo, and he's like, what are we going to do, Laredo? And Laredo's just like, well, I'm not going to do anything, actually, and you need to just go away.
Okay.
He's like, just
Sucks
go to what he calls the Feather River. I didn't look up the Feather River. I don't care.
Right.
He says, go fishing for a couple of days and don't worry about it.
Like they won't just wait for you to come back.
Right.
I mean, if you're really that scared, you should just move away somewhere else. It's easy enough to change identity.
I mean, that would be the smart thing to do anyway, because just move to another town where not everyone hates you.
Right. I mean, that would be just the sensible thing to do. Mm-hmm.
So Al just leaves, and Al's depressed, and he's an alcoholic, so he just goes home and gets drunk. Okay, so at this point, Laredo goes back to eating his breakfast, and he thinks back to the circumstances that led him to this town. Well, it flashes back, and it basically just tells the prologue again.
That we already read?
Yep.
Well, that's lame.
Just with slightly different wording. And guess what? The story does this 11 times.
No way.
Every
Tells us
time,
something we already read?
basically, more or less, shorter iterations and longer iterations, but
Oh, God.
every time we go to a new character's perspective, we have to relive that experience.
Oh, dear. Was he just trying to get his word count up or something?
I don't know, because this is self-published. I looked it
Oh.
up. He didn't make any money. It's a
That's-
short book. Like, even if that
weird.
was his plan, he didn't make any money off of it.
That's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know why you would do that, then.
I think he just wasn't that creative.
Maybe.
So yeah, every time it has to relive that, because in the story, Laredo doesn't really do anything.
Oh.
All he does is like mean mug people. And that comes up
Fucking
way
kids,
too many times.
Fucking prostitutes.
Well, he doesn't even do.
Fucking
He
mouth
just
breathers.
he looks at people and scares them.
Oh my God.
That's the most that he does in this story. And it's fucking infuriating.
Interesting.
So it goes into it a little bit more detail. You learn that the guy he killed is Frito Juarez, the brother of Chico Juarez, the actual gang leader.
Frito? Mm-hmm. Frido?
Fredo. So
that-
Fred Johnson.
Fredo. Okay.
Now he's done with breakfast. He goes to the jail where his deputy, Roscoe, works at, or is on a shift, I guess. He goes there to relieve Roscoe.
Roscoe.
Yep, that's just the deputy name. That was the name of the deputy in...
Lonesome Dove, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So I feel like this guy also liked Lonesome Dove.
Probably. And just didn't have any new ideas. Could be worse. Could be Barney.
In the jail, there are a few cowboys and a couple of the Mexican gang members in the jail right now, imprisoned from the night before.
All right. So this is like a little sheriff's office.
Yeah, there's
with-
like 2 jail cells.
Okay, but this is basically like the little sheriff's office in
Andy Griffith?
Andy Griffith.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
All right.
And then the chapter ends. Because the chapter cuts are almost arbitrary and random. Like
Oh
that.
my goodness.
the-
Is this
the-
the book where some of the paragraphs lasted?
Yes,
like
insanely
pages?
long.
But the chapters just end in the middle of a thought?
Pretty much.
That's bizarre.
There are 17 chapters, and the middle 7 or 8 are like weirdly short, like 1 or 2 pages.
Oh, that's
but these
odd.
first 2 chapters, they're like 10 pages apiece.
Wow. That's really odd.
Yeah, it's really weird. Oh, right. And anytime there's dialogue in the paragraphs, these 4 or 5 page long paragraphs, it doesn't like break.
It doesn't do a paragraph break for...
No, it doesn't.
What?
All the dialogue, even when it's another person talking,
Don't you
does
learn
not
that
break.
in like 3rd or 4th grade?
One would think.
Oh my gosh.
This man was 40 when he wrote this.
Wow.
I looked that up.
I wonder if, like, maybe some of it was the formatting done badly, but that's weird.
But it does do that. It's weird. Like, right in the middle of the book, it does do that. It has 1 line of dialogue, then the next person talking, it goes down to the next line, which is
Right.
the way you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
Which makes me think he knew how to do this. He just didn't want to for the rest of the book.
He was just lazy.
Yeah, he
That's
did it
right.
once, and he was like, no, this is taking up way too much space.
I have to pay per page.
Like, this is a... Oh my God.
Are there not page numbers?
There are sporadic page numbers.
Are you
Emily just now knows.
kidding?
Okay, this is like a 150-page book.
Right, so not that long.
So it gets to chapter 17, and the last page of chapter 17 is page 121, and then the final actual chapter where everything ends, the conclusion is reached, is just called Conclusion and does not have page numbers. Like like it's not even, it almost treats it like an epilogue, but the story would make even less sense if this wasn't actually included.
Oh.
Like, this should just be chapter 18, final chapter.
This is interesting because usually you're the vibes and I'm the bad indie authors.
Yeah, this was a struggle for me.
This is so funny because you're like, and these pages are not formatted and you can't do
It
the
is.
English correctly. It was pretty fun. I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. It is insane. Like, he will stop dialogue randomly. Like, he won't. There are places where he won't break dialogue.
Like the quotation marks?
Yeah, he won't break them with quotation marks. And will just keep going with regular text.
What?
Yeah, he just won't put like a second quote mark.
Oh my god, that would drive me nuts.
And then there are other parts where it will start like someone's dialogue and it will start with a quotation mark. And then it'll just keep going. And then randomly in the middle of the dialogue, like it never stops this character talking, more beginning quotation marks.
Oh.
And then it just won't end quotation marks at the end of the actual dialogue. It is
Who needs all those
infuriating.
little dots and tittles? Nobody needs those.
Gosh.
Thank you for suffering through this for us. So this was an actual physical book you read, not an audiobook.
Yeah. Generally, I just do the audiobooks because it's easier to do while I'm at work and it doesn't take anywhere near as much time.
This one just looked so good. You were willing to sit down and read it and then be mad.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the sentence structures, like right here, Al Washin is afraid of the gang members, and the gang members are signified by purple bandanas.
That's what the sentence says.
That's what the sentence means.
Oh.
He's afraid of the gang members, and the gang members are signified by the bandanas.
Okay.
But this sentence, Al has been so afraid for the purple bandanas that both men wore around their necks were of the same fashion that the Juarez gang wore. And that makes it sound like he's afraid of the bandanas.
Yes,
and they just happen to be, on these gang members.
He's like a horse where if you wave a piece of cloth, they fall over with panic. Purple, ah!
Yeah, sometimes you just don't know who's talking. And even worse, Chico speaks in the third person. So he's like, Chico will teach you such and such a lesson.
Oh my god.
And you don't know who's talking because his guys also say his name when they're talking. So it just seems like everyone is talking to Chico, but Chico is talking to no one.
This sounds like maybe one of the worst, like the most badly written.
It's
you've dealt
terribly
with
written.
so
I'm going to
far.
give this to you so you can look at it.
Yes, that will be great.
Chapter 2, it begins with the warden I was talking about, James Bailey.
Right.
In the fiction of this book, wrote The Reformation of Habitual Criminals. I looked that up. It's also not a real book.
Okay, so we're just giving this character things to make it him more suspicious.
Yeah. Or to make him more Democrat-leaning, I guess.
I mean, wait, when was this book written?
2005. That's why I said that this takes place somewhere between 1873 and 2005.
But in the 90s, Clinton was doing that huge prison thing. Like, they were doing the 3 strikes stuff in California. Like, they really cracked down and sent tons of people to prison. That was a cross the aisle, both parties thing. Like, it hasn't been Democrats are soft on criminals and us Republicans are tough on crime. Like, that hasn't been a thing forever. That's a more recent thing.
Maybe that's just an inference from me or something, but that's certainly the way this reads.
Right. Interesting.
Yeah. Because this James Bailey, he's a bad guy for reforming prisoners, is the way this presents it.
Is he bad for letting them go or for changing their behavior?
Bad for letting them go.
All right.
I think is what it's shooting for.
Gotcha.
Because the behavior change is just Chico lying.
Which, I mean, is always the risk.
Yeah.
But, you can't hold people forever.
Right. But, yeah, we never come back to James Bailey. He's just the bad guy for this one chapter.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah. He never comes up again after this chapter. Except I think someone says a line. They're just like, that damn James Bailey or something. But at the end of the chapter, James Bailey is talking to the 3 quote-unquote reformed prisoners. He, like, takes them to, like... Oh, what do you call it?
Like a press conference or something?
Yeah, he takes them to like a press conference to show them off, and then afterwards he tells them, all right, buzz off. And he's like, they ask for horses so they can go back home.
Okay.
And he's just like, I can't afford horses for you, and go get your own horses.
With the understanding they'll steal them or do whatever they want. He doesn't care.
Yeah, like...
He got his photo op or whatever.
He says, don't be stirring up trouble, but also, he says, 3 enterprising, young, strong men such as yourselves will probably not have to walk for too long, like, inferring, go steal your own horses so I don't have to pay for it.
Gotcha.
And also, another weird, I'm not sure if it's racist, but Chico, he has a weird, like, sort of Looney Tunes Spanish accent.
Do they write it out? Does he write out the accent?
Yes, he does. Right here. Dis Warden is right. Chico will only walk afoot only as long as it takes to find a good horse to steal.
That is very on the nose.
Yep. He says things like when he says Spencer Crossing, he says Spencer.
What is...
Or when he says the Marshal, he says De Marshal. I don't know what accent he was going for
yeah,
here.
that does not sound like an accent, like a Spanish accent. But hey, you know who won't steal your horses? The socials and me. Hello, Biblio fans, friends, and fiends. Just taking a moment to tell you how to find our growing community. We're on Facebook and Instagram, where I try to post pretty often, and we have a subreddit that we will start using as soon as BamBam gets over his crippling fear of Reddit. And of course, our YouTube. Look us up at Bibliowrecks. We would love to hear suggestions and chat about bad books there, as well as over email, bibliowrecks@gmail.com. That's spelled BibliowRecks. Thank you for listening. Now let's get back to that bad book.
So, another weird thing...
welcome back.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You could not wait to get back to this.
I've been waiting for like a week to... welcome back, everyone. So, back to the Spanish-speaking peoples in this book. Despite being Mexican, none of them speak Spanish, ever. Even amongst themselves.
They speak bad English.
Yeah, they speak broken English.
But not even Spanglish.
No.
Like a mix.
Yeah, no, just they speak accented English.
Good God.
Even when it's
lazy.
just, yeah, it doesn't even say like in their own language and then just still the English word, because he wants to do the stupid ass accent.
Because you can do italics or parentheses to express when somebody's saying something, but you don't want to write it in Spanish or French.
Yep.
Wow.
So yeah, incredibly lazy.
Ugh.
So Chico and the crew go and kill an old couple for like money.
Okay.
And it's weird too, because the old man and his woman, like this lady only has these few lines and she's owned. It's an old man and his woman.
Right.
Which is bothersome. Chico really enjoys hurting people.
He's a
sociopath, yeah.
Right.
And he wants to kill the Marshal. So then we go back to Laredo. The telegraph's wires are down all around town to everywhere.
Even though there's usually multiple telegraph companies.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So there's no communication. Laredo is definitely the coolest man alive, though.
Well, of course, he's the main character.
Yes.
Was the whole point of that guy wanting to run for governor, was that the whole point of how these 3 people got out of prison?
Yes.
Because you could have accomplished this with a prison break.
Yep.
Or an end of their sentence. Or
no, it has to be something...
an earthquake.
It has to be something wrong with the system itself.
That's weird. That he's like, well, how could these people get out of prison? It's like, because those things, like, it could have just happened. It didn't have to happen that way.
Right. Yeah. It was specifically gleaming on it wanting to be a systemic issue.
All right.
Yeah. Laredo, thinks back to when he first got there again. The marshal that used to be there died the day before he showed up.
Oh, how
Yeah.
lucky for him.
Yeah, and the 2 previous murders that happened in the town were on prostitutes, so it didn't really matter anyway. Here's the line for that. And as for the 2 dance hall girls, they were not much more than common trash, and what did they expect from their lifestyle? Retirement at a ripe old age?
The fuck? What?
This guy hates prostitutes. I'm not even sure what a dance hall girl is.
It's like a can girl, like the girls
like
who
a
just
flapper girl?
danced. They literally, you could just be a dance girl and just dance.
Yeah.
And you would
So
get paid
it's-
to dance. That's not even like a stripper
Yeah,
or a
so-
prostitute necessarily.
Right, but their lifestyle, it's clearly their fault that they got murdered.
Good God. You know, this doesn't feel like it was really in the mindset of the 1800s. This feels like a very modern novel that he just put in like the set dressing.
Yeah.
Like, hey, let's just say horses instead of cars. We will steal a horse instead of stealing a car.
Yeah. Well, what it feels like to me, this is someone who thinks like the old school way of doing things could fix today's problems. That's the way it
The
seems to me.
boomer posts on Facebook, back in my day,
Yes.
we got spanked and we liked it.
Well, I mean, this guy was 40 back when he wrote this, so he's very much
2005.
boomer aged.
Right.
So he'd be like 60s now.
Yeah.
So despite being there like all morning at the jail, since he relieved Roscoe, he hasn't checked on his cell or any of his prisoners.
Okay.
So he finally
Weird.
does this. He gets up and looks at the prisoners. He sees the white cowboys and he sees the 2 gang members. And he makes severe eye contact with the gang members. Like anyone he like wants to make like a point to, he'll just like stare at them until they look away.
Oh, God. He's one
Yeah.
of those people.
And everyone always looks away.
He wins every staring contest.
Yeah, so they're doing this stupid staring contest. And if they were looking for a glimmer of fear, they did not see it.
Why would he be
He's
scared of them,
so
period?
cool.
He's the one with the keys.
Right.
He's the one with the guns.
Oh, but we like beating up prisoners, metaphorically and literally, in this book.
Oh, jeez.
Let's see. There's another part here. The very mention of Chico Juarez and his gang struck a chord of fear in the town that was almost hard to describe. But I sure wish he would try. He doesn't go into it any further than that. But apparently everyone's afraid of this gang.
That's just...
It's really bad. It's poorly written. So
I don't have anything to, like, hang on to. It's all so pointless.
it's so surface level stupid.
Yeah. You picked a good one.
So now, later that evening, Laredo, Roscoe, and Snuffy. Snuffy is like their kind of janitor.
Not their canine?
No.
Damn.
Snuffy is my favorite character in the book, though.
Wait, he's the janitor?
Kinda. He's like the caretaker. Like, he makes, like, the coffee, sweeps out the jail,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Right.
So then Laredo releases all of the prisoners except the 2 that aren't white.
Were the white cowboys just, like, sleeping it off in the drunk tank, or what?
No, they were all in jail because all of them got into a fight at the saloon.
The 4 people
Yeah.
in jail were in a fight.
Yep.
He lets the 2 white cowboys go and keeps
Yeah,
the
because
2
they're just good
Mexican
old
ones.
boys. But he knows these other 2 guys are gangbangers. And not only that, like, as the white guys are getting out, one of them says that, yeah, this isn't the first time that we've been in your jail, but you've always treated us real nice, so we'll help you out if you need anything. So the white repeat offenders get to come out, but because these other 2 guys are Latino and associated with a gang, they have to stay in jail.
That is bizarre.
Oh boy, and it's so on the nose. I hate it.
Yeah.
Chapter change again randomly, even though
Okay.
basically nothing happened.
Right.
We switch to Al Washin, who is wallowing because he's sad
Drunk.
that he's sad that he is destitute and his wife and daughter are dead because
Oh.
Chico's men killed them.
What?
Yeah, because
Was that after he, like,
It was before he actually gave a testimony.
What?
Yeah. Like, I guess Chico just suspected that he was going to give a testimony, so he just went ahead and killed the wife and daughter.
Well, once you get rid of the hostages, of course
there's no reason for him not to.
Right, of course he's gonna testify against you.
Yeah. So this is where we learn how he was complicit. Right now, the text is, like, alluding to suicide, but not, like, actually saying it. Like,
oh, like the guy's thinking about offing himself because of his situation.
Mm-hmm. So that's the end of that chapter.
Wait, that's all that happened in
That's all that happens in that chapter.
So he just shifted his perspective. Mm-hmm. He thinks about the stuff that happened in the past.
Yep.
He's sad and miserable. Move on.
Yep.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much it. Chapter 5. The prisoners, the 2 remaining Latino prisoners, are taunting Laredo, who keeps Care Bear staring at them, I guess. And scaring them because they won't maintain eye contact for, I guess, more than a couple of seconds. Like, they'll say something to him, he'll stare at them, and then they'll look away like a slapped dog. Rinse and repeat. So they keep taunting Laredo, and Roscoe's in the jail at this point, and Laredo's just like, let him out. Yeah, the bigger of the 2 Mexican men comes out and fights with Laredo, or tries to, and Laredo just beats the piss out of him.
What?
And then puts him back in the jail.
What the heck? So they let them out. The one...
Well, he doesn't, like, let them free. He just lets them out of the cell.
To fight with them.
Yeah.
Good God.
Yeah. And he, like, breaks this dude's teeth. He has to, like, get a doctor in there afterwards.
This guy's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he's fucking terrible.
My God.
And he's our hero.
Ugh, not mine.
So Laredo, having beat the shit out of a prisoner, he's just like, all right, I'm gonna go now.
Got my high for the day.
Yeah, I did. I'm a badass now because I beat the shit out of a prisoner.
I feel good about myself now.
Yeah. So he leaves. Roscoe has to go get the doctor, and he brings the doc back, and he's working on the prisoner that Laredo beat the shit out of. Mm-hmm. And he's, like, holding a gun on the other prisoner so he doesn't, like, jump out or, I guess, attack the doctor. But he fumble fucks it. The guy knocks him down. He had one job.
He had one job.
Watch this prisoner and make sure he doesn't get out. And
why wouldn't you just move
him
into the other cell that's empty?
You'd think.
Or take the injured guy out of the cell since he's probably unable to really go anywhere.
Which we really don't know if there's another cell because the text never like paints a description of the rooms, the areas.
So all 4 guys who were fighting could have been in a cell together?
Possibly.
I think they would have had more fighting if they'd done that.
So in this altercation, Snuffy gets shot, but he lives. The big Mexican man takes 2 loads of buckshot to the face.
What?
And dies.
Oh, okay, good.
While he's trying to escape. So Laredo returns, and things only happen when he's not around. And he pouts about Snuffy getting shot, and strong arms the Undertaker into taking the Mexican man's body. Because it's really weird, because they've got, like, a deal set up already. Like, the county would pay, like, for funeral services like this, right?
Yeah.
And Laredo just says, just take care of the body. He's just like, I don't care if you get paid. Like, this is the guy's livelihood, dude. There's only like 3 deaths a year in this town.
Not if this sheriff has anything to do with it.
Well, that's where the 3 deaths come from.
The gang members get offed, and so then 3 new ones move in, and then he finds them and offs them, and then FIFO, we have to do first in, first out. This is just fucking horrible, man.
It's fucking bad.
It's basically the entire thing is... This is why prison guards beat up prisoners, and they're right.
Mm-hmm. Yep, you're totally okay for beating the shit out of someone who did basically nothing. Started a fight in a bar.
Yeah, because like a fight in a bar, you shouldn't die for that. This is insane.
So the doc is taking care of Snuffy at this point, and the dialogue gets kind of weird from here. The doc starts talking about him and Snuffy because they go way back, apparently. So, I've known that old cuss for over 30 years. Just the way he's talking about Snuffy at this point, it really sounds like they're old lovers. And that was nice. That was a nice thing for me. It helped get me through.
And then he says something that is hilarious to me because Old West doctors, it's just kind of funny. All of 2 years in school and a mere 6 months working as a surgical assistant back east and do great and wonderful things to advance the medical profession.
What?
Yeah, no, that sentence did not make sense. You heard me right. I also read it correctly.
Oh, okay. This guy, as much as he hates like Mexicans, he does not know how to do the
No,
English
he cannot
himself.
properly set up a sentence.
That's horrific.
Like, there is not a page in this book that does not have at least 3 highlighter marks where I pointed out just some bad grammar. Laredo is talking to the Undertaker. He says, Taft, I'm about to lose my patience with you. Now get out of here before I do.
Wait,
So,
what happened? Taft is the doctor?
Taft is the Undertaker.
And he's taking away the dead Mexican.
Yep. He's thinking to himself of the money that he would lose by not burying the man at the county's expense. Like, he's queer. Like, this is the guy's livelihood. And Laredo's, like, whinging with him about the cost to the county. Like, it's not even coming out of Laredo's pocket.
Right. That's bizarre. Like,
Yeah,
and
so-
it's probably almost like $1 at most. Like, I'm sure it wasn't, he was probably paid hourly and it's not going to even be that much.
Laredo stares at the remaining Mexican. He's younger, and the younger Mexican just quits the gang.
The one who's beat up?
Yeah,
Well, I would too.
yeah. He's just like, I don't want to be in the gang anymore. But Laredo
don't beat
tells
me
him,
up ever
you have to send Chico a message that I'm coming after him.
Oh, good Lord.
So, yeah, at this point, Laredo quits his marshal job? I don't know.
Oh.
Because apparently you can beat the shit out of a prisoner, but if you go after an alleged gang member that's coming after you, you can't do that. Like, it's weirdly inconsistent with how racist you're allowed to be in this world.
But, I mean, I guess the guy legally left prison. It's just, you'd have to catch him when he does something bad.
Yep, but allegedly Chico is too smart to actually leave evidence of him doing anything.
They didn't have evidence in the 1860s.
Yep. You could absolutely get away with just vibes.
Just going and killing him. Who's
Yeah.
going to stop you?
Yeah, but apparently he feels he has to quit his job to go after him for some reason. It doesn't make any sense.
This feels like just a bad gangster movie
Yep.
from the 60s. This doesn't feel like a real Western.
The chapter ends right there, and we go to the Western Union repairman who is working on the
The telegram?
telegraph lines.
Oh, okay.
There are 8 breaks in an 80-mile stretch of wire, which he says is odd. He's sure that the breaks had been man-made, but why? And he's thinking this to himself, but I'm just like, yes, why do you know that? Because he doesn't explain it. He knows they're man-made for reasons.
I mean, they would probably look cut if they'd been cut.
But he doesn't say
that's-
that. He just says they look the
Right.
breaks were man-made. Because I don't think that the author actually wanted to go into the intricacies of how they would cut them. Like, can you cut telegraph lines with a pocket knife? Is that how it works?
Right, probably not.
Yeah, because
they
I don't think
would
he
be
fucking knew how to do it
heavy
either.
Okay, he just wanted there to be breaks, and that's
Yeah.
how he did it.
'Cause-
Maybe Chico shot into the sky and managed to hit the wire. Who
Maybe.
knows?
Well, the story
Okay.
says that the 2 guys that are in jail that started a fight in the saloon were there to kind of scout things out, but also just break these telegraph lines 8 times in a row over 80 miles.
Is this a Hanna-Barbera every 10 miles? You hit the line. Side scroller.
Yeah. So this is when Chico shows up to kill this lineman asshole.
He was fixing that wire he broke so nicely
Yeah.
just now.
So they kill him, and that's the entire chapter.
What was the point of that?
Nope, there's no
'Cause
point in this chapter
We've
break.
already established that the telegram lines were down in the town.
Yep.
We already know all
But we
the
had to
telegraph
know-
lines are already broken, and he can just assume it's Chico because that's the only bad guy in the story.
Yep, but you have to be absolutely sure that this is Chico's doing.
And that Chico is the bad guy and
Yep.
it has it coming.
So the young Mexican boy, he's heading seemingly at a random direction, just leaving the town Spencer Crossing.
This is the one that got beat up.
Yeah. And suddenly he gets a backstory.
Oh.
Now that the what's happened to him by Laredo has already happened, so you don't have to feel bad about that. But now he gets a backstory because he's about to die.
But if he's a bad guy that Laredo beat up, why do we care if he has a backstory?
Yeah, well, he's young and apparently you can be relatable if you're poor.
I mean, true.
Yes, but
But that should have happened before.
It should have been
him up.
like you're equally a bad person for beating up this poor kid.
Yes. Who joined a gang because he has no way of earning
Out of
an income.
necessity, yeah.
Good Lord.
So he has a backstory, and then he runs into Chico when Chico starts his camp for the night after killing the lineman. I think the young Mexican boy's name is Louis. He informs Chico of what Laredo told him, that Laredo's coming after him. And somehow or another, this tips Chico off that Louis wanted to quit, or like he's just vibing wrong with him or something. So he just kills him. Chico just kills Louis. And his other two Mexicans who were just hanging out and were just like, oh, that was weird. Later on that evening, he kills them too.
So he's just a psychopath who kills everyone around him.
Kind of. But also he's too smart to get caught by normal means.
Because he has 15 guns and 10,000 rounds.
Yep.
Does
So
Chico have any, actual motivation?
His motivation is to be a bad guy and do bad things because he has fun with them.
So we're not given his, why he wants this, or...
He does get, a weird, little snippets. He'll get some backstory, like his dad left when he was a kid.
Okay.
So he never got, a certain amount of approval from a father figure, and that made him a bad person. So yeah, this is starting to sound a little familiar, right?
It's just that type of lazy writing where I'm the good guy because I'm good and you're the bad guy because you're bad.
Yep.
And that kind of thing just really irks me.
New chapter, even though that one was also 1 page. That was 1 page worth of, you get half a page.
What the heck?
Back page.
Yeah, that is literally 1 single page.
Yep.
Gracious me.
So, chapter 8, also very short. Laredo is just gearing up to get ready to leave. And he's just, talking to Roscoe. And he's just like, you have to stay here because I'm going to leave.
But he doesn't know where Chico is.
Right. So, yeah, pretty much Laredo's just telling Snuffy that I'm going to leave. And you have to basically do my job for me while I'm gone. Going to kill a MacGuffin.
And so do we think that Laredo knows these things that have happened? Is Laredo behaving as if he knew Chico killed this kid and is coming to his town? Is Laredo behaving omniscient? Or does the author actually split what the character knows from what we know?
It makes... His plan is to follow the young Mexican because he just assumes that the young Mexican, even though he said he was going to quit the gang, he just assumes he's going to be able to find Chico by following the young Mexican to Chico.
Okay. But they don't have a hideout or a
No.
place where they go.
No.
This is just I'm going to stop here for the night campsite.
Yeah, because it used to be their hiding place, their stomping grounds was just Spencer Crossing.
The whole town.
Yeah.
Until the marshal came in.
Right.
Stop that nonsense.
Yeah, so-
Interesting.
Yeah, he's leaving. This is just one of the funniest lines that I have in the book. Roscoe caught the badge and stared at it as Laredo gave the horse rein and went through the door and down the street. So Laredo's riding the horse out the door. He's on the horse in the house.
And throwing first the badge.
I think he just forgot that he was riding him on the horse already. He just totally forgot what he was doing. He's just, oh yeah, Laredo's gonna walk. I feel like he just fell asleep and he just forgot he was on the horse and he's just like, all right, Laredo's gonna leave.
That is so funny.
It's very funny. But you know what isn't funny? It's our Patreon.
Well, that's mean.
Yeah.
We are
I
so-
changed. Damn it. I didn't think about that. It was a good ad pivot, but not for this.
Not for us. Maybe we'll have ads by this time.
Yeah.
These sponsors. Hello, Biblio freaks, geeks, and lovers. Bugs here. We wanted to let you know about our option to follow us on Patreon. We have a couple of tiers where you can listen to our bad book, bad movie review. We read a bad book and then we watch its bad movie counterpart. In the past, we've done Aragon, Shadow Builder by Bram Stoker, and we have a lot of different things in the future. Please let us know if you have any suggestions for future bad book, bad movie combos, and let's get back to the podcast.
Welcome back to this trash fire western.
I oppose the name Western. It doesn't earn it.
I oppose this book just existing.
On the principle of the matter, it
Yeah.
shouldn't exist.
So Laredo gets his horse out of the house. And we go to chapter 9. Chico is doing horrible things to a family.
Wait, I thought he was at the campsite and he killed that kid and he was gonna bunk down for the night.
Yep.
Did he just change his mind?
Oh, no. You know what it is? I told that part a little too soon. This is slightly before he kills that boy.
Oh.
Yeah.
And this is before he killed the other two. So he's just on a murdering spree.
Yeah, kind of. So they kind of just came across a family, and he is raping a woman while her baby is crying and her husband is laying dead out in the yard.
Good God.
Yeah. So yeah, he is like abusing her, and he yells at one of his men that the baby is crying and to take care of it.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so it doesn't say what exactly happens, but it says the baby
Stopped crying.
stops crying.
Good grief.
Yeah. So then the life just kind of goes out of this woman, and she steals Chica's pistol and shoots herself.
Oh
And he's like mad about it. And he like immediately gets like mad about it and like takes
my
his other
God.
gun after she's already shot herself, and like as a reflexive fear like shoots her 2 more times.
Take that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he's not doing a bad job of pumping up this guy as the worst bad guy of all time.
Yeah, he's definitely a,
You know,
a bad person.
He's
but-
definitely gross.
Yeah. So Chico is now reflecting on another person at the trial because he wants to kill Al because he gave testimony against him, and he wants to kill Laredo because he put him away. He also wants to kill this other guy, Thompson, the guy that owns the bank now, because he used to work with Al Washin, but all he did was deny any involvement. Like, he didn't give testimony. But Chico
Anyone
still wants
he
to.
ever laid eyes on, he
Yeah.
just wants to go and murder.
Chico still wants to kill him. So you wanted him to tell the truth and get you more jail time? I don't.
Right.
So yeah, it just doesn't make any sense. So then Laredo is fawning at the edge of the property of a woman he's been seeing for the past 3 years.
What?
Don't worry, she doesn't come up much, except as a plot device. No thoughts in this poor woman's head, unfortunately, unless it's speaking positively of Laredo.
Yeah, if there were thoughts in her head, it would be get me out of here.
Yep. Yeah.
I thought he was going after the Mexican kid, though.
Yeah, he's getting ready to do that, but he doesn't know. I guess he just doesn't know when exactly he's going to get back, so he's like looking fondly at his girlfriend's house.
Is this so somebody can see he's there and recognize that's where his family lives or something?
I don't know.
Because
I
that'd be
think-
the only reason to put that there.
Yeah, I think this is just to bring her up as a person that definitely does exist. And she's actually Latino as well.
Oh,
Yeah,
but not a bad one.
not a bad one.
But
Her brothers are, though.
ah,
So that's when he starts getting into Civil War information.
Really?
Like, it just goes back to Laredo's time in the Confederate Army.
Really?
Yeah, and it goes into like the brigades and all that good stuff, and all the different generals. And I didn't look it up because I didn't care. Actual like generals, and I just assume he actually knew what he was talking about there because he seems like the kind of guy.
Yeah, who would care about that if not, the other historical stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So he compares the deaths of the people who were in the war, and the most deaths from any state were North Carolina and New York, and those far exceeded any other state involved in the war. And I'm just like, well, yeah, they were two huge population centers.
Yeah, probably one of the largest
for the longest time.
Populations. Yeah.
So, yeah, that makes sense. But he's taking it as a point of like state pride, I guess.
So is Laredo supposed to be originally from North Carolina?
Yeah, he is. He's originally from North Carolina and served in the North Carolina 26th something or other.
And then after they lost, he went to California.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So here's another interesting thing. Here's to quote the text directly. He had not been in the fight for slavery. To him, that was not the main issue. It was fighting for the side of his homeland and family and the rights of the individual to own slaves.
Yeah. So this is just Confederate apologetics.
Yeah.
Weird. He didn't need to have that.
No, that wasn't required.
He didn't need that backstory.
You could have just not said anything.
Yeah.
And they give up at Gettysburg. He's not happy about that, I'm sure. He tries to be a farmer, but then the carpetbaggers come in and ruin everything or whatever because of Reconstruction.
Right.
Yeah. So he just starts heading west, and we go into, yet again, the scene where he kills those two guys.
Another flashback to the beginning of the story?
Yep.
But why? It doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't.
If it had some huge significance or it was leading us up to something, that'd be one thing. But this is just weird.
Yeah. So here's another part. He was talking about, as he was traveling west, he got in a fight with some Union soldiers.
Okay.
And the local marshal put him in jail because the local general told him to. I guess he was like sympathetic to Laredo because he was like wearing his ratty old Confederacy jacket. So he lets Laredo out. And to quote again, Laredo was thankful and vowed never to forget the lesson that might and mob didn't make for right, and that although man's law governed the land, there was something higher, and that something was God's law. Actually, the text right there says, and that something was God's law, and it took precedent over anything that man had devised or constructed.
This is a pile of hogwash.
Yeah.
This is this guy's personal grievances squashed into a book.
Yes. He tried to cram all the things that make him angry into a book.
God, and it's so boring. It could be interesting, and it's boring.
Yeah. So we finally get back to chasing after Chico. He finds the camp. He tracks Chico, and he's tracking him for days. And for some reason, Chico didn't take any of the other horses for some strange reason.
He only took his own?
He only took his own.
Horses are worth a lot.
Yeah. And on top of that, he's actively running away. It pays to have an extra horse that hasn't been carrying a man. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, he just takes his own. It specifically says the other horses were left there. And I'm is this guy smart or not? Because it's not consistent.
And it sounds like the author doesn't know anything about horses either. Like what you would do in that situation or why you would take two.
Chico runs away. He goes to Feather Falls, presumably connected to the Feather River, for totally arbitrary reasons. He doesn't really say why. He just wants to get to another town.
But I thought he was hunting down Laredo initially.
Initially, yeah, but...
And now he's running away?
Yes, because he knows that Laredo's chasing him.
And we don't want the fight yet. We don't want the showdown yet. We gotta keep a little suspense going.
So he goes to Feather Falls, which the text is confused as to whether Al Washin was going there or not, because Laredo told him to
right.
go to the Feather River, and then later on he says, I wonder if Al went to Goose Creek like I told him to, even though that wasn't where he told him to go.
So this guy just didn't even keep track of his own shit.
No, he didn't.
Wow, continuity errors all through the
Yeah,
whole thing.
oh, they're everywhere. So Chico goes to this town. He finds a whore to not have sex with.
Why?
I don't know. Like he
Does
he
he ask for a back rub?
he just wants to be held by her for the night, and then he wakes up and beats the shit out of her.
Oh my god! How is this man considered sympathetic at all by
don't
the
know.
author?
I really don't understand. And that was Chico.
Oh, I thought we were
Sorry,
following Laredo.
Yeah, I might. Because it just gives you going back and forth. I get confused.
And if they don't actually like end paragraphs like they're
Yeah.
supposed to, God,
Yeah.
no wonder.
So yeah, sorry.
Wait, so Chico
Chico goes to
didn't
Feathers
have
Falls.
sex with a prostitute,
Yes.
but then in the morning he just beats her up.
Yeah, and because for some reason, if you're Mexican in this area, you just know all the other Mexicans, so she knows Laredo's girlfriend.
Okay.
So she's just like, oh yeah, her name is Maria, and Chico's just like, I'm gonna go steal her, and like beats the shit out of her and runs and goes.
Even though she gave him information.
Yeah.
Bizarre. It's
So-
just more, you hate this guy, don't you?
Yep. So he leaves, goes to kidnap Maria. Laredo comes in, kind of, it's almost like they should have like passed each other on the way. But Laredo comes into town and he's automatically respected by this random guy because of a handshake.
Okay.
It's the livery stable owner, and they like handshake and stare each other in the eye, and they're automatically best friends because they. It gives like a line of bullshit, like in that handshake they exchanged more information than words could. And I'm like, this is fucking stupid.
Good grief.
So, yeah, Laredo made a friend for life in about 5 seconds. Goes into the
And
bar.
he didn't give him a stare down?
No.
Because he's been staring down everybody.
Yeah, that's his whole thing. He just Care Bear stares people, and he goes into the saloon now to interrogate questions out of people, asking about Chico, and everybody's just like hostile to him. So he stares them all in the eye, and they all look away.
He sounds like an aggressive dog that didn't ever learn manners.
Yeah, or like some guy that, as a kid, like. I guess maybe he found out like if you stare at another child long enough, they'll look away.
Yeah.
And he thinks that's a superpower.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah. He finally gets some information through intimidation that the prostitute upstairs slept with Chico that night. So he gets some information from her, goes through the fire escape outside because now he's pissed off everybody down the bar.
Oh my goodness
And
gracious.
the guy he met earlier, whose name is Tench, is just like, I saw you have an altercation, so I just went ahead and got your horse ready because I knew you'd be ready to go in 5 minutes after getting here.
What the...
Gosh.
So lazy.
It's
lazy.
terribly lazy. So about here is where I started, because I had been trying to get through this for like 3 days at this point, and I kept falling asleep doing the notes. Mm-hmm. So I had to tag Lily in. Mm-hmm. And she read the story to me, and we roasted it together.
Very nice.
So that was a lot of fun. From there, it's just talking about Chico smacking his lips, getting ready to steal Maria. And Maria fawning over Laredo having been gone for like a day. And she's just like, oh, he's such a good man, but he cares so much about justice. Oh.
Yeah, real justice lover there.
Yeah. And she's just like, why did he have to care? And apparently cares more about getting revenge before actually caring about you.
Yeah.
Oh, and she also goes into his initial entrance to the town again about the
She
two guys.
flashes back to him coming
she
into
does
town.
too. So Chico steals her.
Wouldn't it have been funny if, from her perspective, it was just, oh, this guy is scary. If I don't sleep with him, he'll murder me. Or showed a completely wildly divergent story
That would
than
be
what
awesome.
the Laredo flashed back to.
That would be great. But no, we don't get that. We get the same ass story we've heard 11 other times at this point. Anyway, so Chico steals her, and she's just like, oh, if I make a noise or anything, he's going to kill my entire family.
Yikes.
So
Okay.
she, much like a porcelain doll, just sits there and lets herself be stolen. Yeah. And as Chico leaves, presumably he just like shouts to the open air that he's stealing Maria.
What?
Yeah. Presumably to let the family know that she's been stolen by Chico, so that they can
your
tell,
wife.
so that her family can tell
Laredo
that that's definitely what happened, even though he already knows that's what's happening.
And he had been running toward Laredo to fight him.
Right.
And then found out Laredo was actually hunting him.
Yes.
But now he's come back to get Maria to have an altercation with Laredo.
Yes. It's a very confused set of events that don't make any sense.
Because Laredo should have seen that coming and just camped out with Maria.
Yeah, it would have made more sense if he just stayed there.
Yeah,
and
the
just
whole time.
where Chico was
Obviously,
coming
he was
anyway.
going to come, yeah. And if you have a vendetta, of course you go toward the other one's family, because that's where you're going to hurt them the worst. Like,
So anyway, Laredo and Tench are riding back toward Maria's place, but
this guy just joined him?
yeah, he's just like, we're best friends now. I'm staying with you forever and selling my entire livelihood.
Bizarre.
He literally says that though.
He sold his business?
He's just like, yeah, I'm like 60 now. It's time for me to go out of business. I don't have any family. You're my only thing I love now.
What the heck?
Oh gosh. Okay. They bond over both being at Gettysburg.
Oh, was that guy a Confederate? Okay.
No, that guy was, I think he was Union.
Tench?
Yeah, he was Union.
Wait.
Tench was Union, yeah.
And he's in love with this Confederate?
Yes. So this guy is like in love with Laredo and just like fawning over his every word.
Gross.
Yeah.
This is someone you just met.
Yeah.
Who's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he sucks. So the rain breaks. Laredo and Tench go to Maria's family. And they're gearing up to go chase after Maria. And Laredo's just like, no, you can't.
Why?
Because he has to be the hero.
But power and force, like,
Yep, that would
power
make
and strength, you
That would
go,
make
all
sense.
go together.
But you got to have all your heroes in the story be white.
And her family's brown?
Yep.
Oh my fucking god. No. Really?
They're just.
That's why
Laredo's-
Hench came with him, is because he's white and he's going to
Yes.
be the...
That's what it feels
Oh
like to me.
Oh. Wow.
Because these guys are like, they have their own guns. They're geared up to go with Laredo to chase this guy down.
Yeah.
But
And they're
Laredo's-
probably more invested in her care and well-being than he is.
Yeah. But Laredo's just like, no, you guys will screw it up, and is like threatening to beat them if they try.
God.
So he just pretty much is just like, no, you can't go save your sister, or I will beat the shit out of you.
What the hell?
So go, let me be the hero.
On my own.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's what he does. He deduces through whatever detective work. I don't understand how he makes this connection, but he knows that Chico is going to go to Al Washin's place, his old house, before he got kicked out by
With
the bank.
Maria.
Yes.
That's why I was wondering if he gives Laredo like omniscience, like he knows what the
Yep. At this point,
audience
basically, yeah.
knows, even if he shouldn't himself know it.
Well, the audience shouldn't even know that. Like,
Good point.
He pulls this basically out of nowhere. He's just like, I know where he'll go.
Oh.
Another character's house for almost no reason.
And we don't know why he would go there either.
Yep. So they go to Al Washington's house. They hear from, because he's got like a bunch of buildings on the property, and nobody lives here at this point. No one lives here. And he like weirdly personalizes how sad the house looks. It's very bizarre.
Like an abandoned, sad
Yeah.
house?
Yeah. And like you almost think this is setting up for like Laredo to buy this house later and live in it with Maria, presumably.
Huh, okay.
That's almost what it feels like he's gearing up for. So they go to one of the outbuildings. They hear Maria crying under the floor.
They meaning
Laredo and Tench, yeah.
Is it Hench or Tench?
Tench.
Tench, okay.
Very bad naming.
Yes.
So they hear Maria crying. They find out that under the floor is like a tunnel underground toward the main part of the property. They start going down there, and Al Washington is just down there waiting for them, I guess.
That was the sad...
Yeah, the sad, depressed man that was going to kill himself.
He's down underneath this outhouse in a tunnel, waiting for...
He's wanting to avenge himself of Chico, I guess, and not be a coward as the way it tries to present it.
But they hear Maria crying.
Yeah, she's like... It doesn't make any sense because she's like way far away. Apparently she's just like screaming her lungs out.
But she's not in this tunnel?
No, she's in a totally other room where Chico is underground under the main house.
Okay.
Because this is where Al Washington, while they were plotting, Al Washington and Chico would plot.
Okay.
And transfer money, I guess. So, yeah, apparently this is the best place for Chico to go. Al Washington is just like, wait, there's another tunnel on the other side of the property. You should go over there and we can meet in the middle, and then Chico can't go anywhere.
Okay.
So that's what they do. Laredo goes to the other side of the property, goes into another tunnel that leads to the main house.
What? Why do we need tunnels? Why do we need tunnels? We don't need tunnels.
No, we super don't. But
we need to have a face-down fight in the middle of a property or Main Street and just get this over with.
Oh, buddy, I'm so sorry.
We could just get this over with.
We don't get that. So what happens? Laredo starts heading toward the room. He can like see the room. Maria's tied up and is gagged, even though she was crying earlier loud enough for them to hear outside.
Wow. Okay.
And Chico is like apparently expecting people from the other tunnel because that's the one he's watching. And then Al Washington just shows up and just starts firing and like dies in a hail of Chico's bullets. And while Chico's distracted, Laredo shoots him in the back.
Heroic.
Very heroic. And Chico dies. And, yep, he saves Maria. She does the title drop. She's just like, Chico was beyond repentance. Da, da, da.
The name of the book.
Yep.
Oh, my. He didn't want to repent, though. That would be beyond forgiveness.
Well, she says he was beyond repentance. And I looked that up.
Like what that means? That's such a strange phrase.
Yeah, it is. Because that's something people that are worried about sinning use.
Right.
Like, people that are worried that they're going to go to hell are worried that if they are beyond repentance. And I looked that up, and everything was, like, connected to, like, church stuff.
Right, blaspheming the Holy Ghost or whatever.
Right.
Like the deadly sin or the only sin you can't be forgiven for or something like that.
So everybody gets out. Al Washington is dead. Chico's dead. And they set the house on fire.
What? Wait, why? It was a sad house he was feeling pity for and he burns it down. It had tunnels. I want a house with tunnels.
Yeah, that would be nice.
That would be so fun.
Yep. But no, they set it on fire. Story's over.
Wait, that's the end of
That's the end of the story.
What?
They set it on fire and that's it.
That was so dumb.
It was so bad. I'm going to give this to you now because I never want to look at it again.
That is hilarious. And I don't get it. Okay, so on the front, beyond repentance, there's a stopwatch. Like an old-timey pocket watch.
Yep.
Why?
I
A
don't
pocket
know.
watch never came up in the story.
No one ever tells the time in the story, ever.
Oh, what a lie. On the back it says, Beyond Repentance is a fast-paced, action-filled adventure in the Old West. Lies!
Mm-hmm.
It's not fast-paced or action-filled.
Or in the Old West.
No, not really.
Like, late West, probably, because we just don't fucking know when it was.
Well,
And then Max died in 2019. The author died in 2019.
wow. That's kind of sad.
Well, at least we don't have to worry anymore about another piece of shit book like this.
True, and he can't come and complain at us on social media.
I'm sorry the guy died. I'm sure he was
I'm sure there were people who loved him.
Yeah, and I feel bad for them. I don't think Max was a good guy. I was going to say, he's probably a fine person,
No,
but no,
I
he's
don't
not.
think a good person would have written this. I really don't. Because this is just such a weird conglomeration of personal bias and bad behavior, even from the main character.
Yep.
It's like, okay, you have your bad guy and you give him the things that you think are bad to do.
Yep.
Especially in, like, this is almost like a morality tale in some ways. And then you give your good guy things to do that you approve of.
Yep.
And so the fact that the good guy beats up prisoners and hates prostitutes and just hates everybody and is super racist, that would just mean that's what the author approves of.
Right. So, sorry, Max. You're dead and you get an F grade.
Yeah, this is a fail. I didn't see anything in that I could redeem into an interesting story.
Now, I've thought about, since reading this, I've wondered how much work I would have to put in to make this actually fucking readable.
No, I don't think you could.
Yeah.
I don't think it has any good bones or anything that you could really pull out.
No, not really, because the town doesn't make any sense. Yeah, like even at one point, like he went to Feather Falls, the town,
Okay.
and he's just like, yeah, Laredo just knows where everything is because it's set up just like every other Old West town. Like the story doesn't even give a shit what the story is.
Right. And no character in it was likable, was personable, had any personality at all.
Except Snuffy. Snuffy had a line in there, but I couldn't find where it was. But it was just one line. He just said like some old mannerism, and it was just very funny. I can look it up.
The prison janitor had one sentence that made him not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was something else. Well, thank you for dealing with that to bring us a horrific story. My goodness.
It was, oh boy.
It was funny.
You could just write anything in a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
No one will stop you.
No?
I did look up the publishing company, and they seem like really shit. Their draw is that there is no editor oversight.
They'll just print whatever you send them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just give them money, and they'll take care of it.
And then you try to print it or sell it personally for more than you paid to print it.
Here we go. At this point in the story, they're talking to a guy that was just drunk the night before, and he's like been a really big alcoholic, and Snuffy says to him, "Luther, you got so much alcohol running through your veins that when you die, they'll just prop you up in a corner at Oaken, cram a tap in your mouth, and twist your ear and serve drinks for nigh on 10 years."
Okay, that has a little personality.
Yeah, it had some personality, but God, is it fucking wordy. I've never read a book.
You could just make that such a smaller...
So much more concise. I've never read it. It's like the author had like very poor vocabulary skills. Mm-hmm. So he just kept saying the simple words that he knew over and over again.
Had to keep adding to it.
Yeah,
to make
I've
it
never
sound good.
seen so many words that say so fucking little.
Right.
But I think that's good for today.
That was...
A piece of shit.
That was a wreck. That was a real wreck.
That was a real wreck. But I appreciate you listening to me rant about this terrible book that I found.
Yeah.
And thank you, the listeners, for also listening to it. I feel like I could have done better this episode, but boy, this was just a heaping piece of shit.
You had challenging material to make amusing.
Yeah.
Sometimes the material is just so god-awful, it's not easy to make it funny.
But
that's all right.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
Thank you, Jay, for being our producer. Thank you, Lily, for reading part of this and helping BamBam get through it. Thank you to our listeners. Thank you for suggestions and emails. And we will be back in a couple of weeks with another wreck. You didn't get the giggles at the beginning.
Yeah. What Bug said.
Love you.
Bye, everyone. Love you.